Here's a confession. Despite being fascinated by how archery was practiced in historical times, one element of my usual shooting style is arguably very modern. I'm referring, of course, to the practice of three under. This is a minor mutation of the Mediterranean draw, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Three fingers under the nock instead of the usual two below and one above. A frequent criticism of this method is the assertion, or should I say assumption, that it relies on having snap on plastic nocks that securely fasten to the string. Thus, the argument goes that this is a method that was never practiced prior to the 20th century. In other words, it's not really traditional. I used to hold this belief myself, and it may very well be true that this method is ahistorical. However, the practical critique is not exactly true. The simplest kind of knock there is the self knock. It's just a simple groove in the back of the arrow. Self knocks can be made to fit snugly and securely, and work very effectively with 3 under. Reinforcing the knock from the side with horn can also have the exact same clip-on properties as plastic knocks. For that matter, self-knocks can be carved to have clip-on properties as well. Moreover, I've actually gotten the so-called modern 3 under release to work with self-knocks that are completely loose and do not hold onto the string at all. The pinching effect of split finger is replicated by the light upwards pressure of the index finger and the resistance of the knock point. Practically speaking, there is absolutely nothing about primitive, ancient, or medieval technology that prohibits the use of this so-called modern technique. It just involves a trivial rearrangement of how the available materials are used. That said, consistent and easy use of 3 under is dependent on having a knock point, whereas split finger can do without it. So the debate then gets shifted from the authenticity of 3 under to the authenticity of knock points. Although you would think something as logical as a knock point would have been practiced on a regular basis very early on, I have not found any explicit reference to knock points in any of the classic English longbow manuals, merely the general precaution against irregular knocking. To my knowledge, the first explicit mention of precise knock points, at least in English, is from 1801. Did anybody use them earlier? Who knows? The earliest definitive evidence of 3 under itself is the shooting style of Arthur Young, a famous big game hunter and associate of Saxton Pope. Whether he did this all the time or only occasionally is not known. With regards to deep history, long before the 20th century, I think it is fair to conclude that 3 under was probably either very rare or non existent. It's not that historical peoples would have found it impossible or even impractical to shoot 3 under, it's just that they probably did not have a good enough reason for it. Despite being comfortable and effective, the advantages offered by it are fairly small and only applicable under certain circumstances. Otherwise, split finger works fantastic. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.